Kirblog, dynamic, let's go. Listen up. All right, so I'm unfortunately, I can't remember who it was that reminded me to do this. There was somebody who graciously commented like, oh, dude, Chris, you did like a zillion Kirblogs about Dragon Ball Z leading up to the Resurrection F movie. Why have you not talked about Dragon Ball Super yet? So here I am. I'm going to talk about Dragon Ball Super. But before that, regarding the movie, which as you guys may or may not remember, I did a whole series of 7 different Kirblogs that were all about different things regarding the Dragon Ball Z franchise, and on top of the whole bunch of guest stars and blah, 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 which was leading up to the premiere of the Resurrection F movie, the screening that I went to at the Japanese screening at the Egyptian Theater, which was fantastic. But on that same note, and I just to establish, no, I was not paid to do this. This is entirely of my own volition because I want people to go see this. Is the Dragon Ball Z movie Resurrection F is coming out in theaters. It'll be in theaters starting August 4th. Going to the 12th, and you can get your tickets to go see it at your local theater if there's one playing, which there very well might be, at DragonBallZ.com. Go check it out. Please support it, because this is really good for the anime industry, which has been stricken with getting hit by piracy for the last several years. Dragon Ball Z is a major way of being able to combat that, and we can get more anime in theaters, and it'll be fantastic. And also, it's a really entertaining, fun movie, and if you haven't already heard all my Kirblogs talking about it and everything leading up to it and blah, 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 go check those out as well. But anyway, Dragon Ball Super, more to the point. Okay, so anybody who hasn't been living under a rock, if you're big into Dragon Ball in general, you've probably already seen it. But if you haven't, then, this is going to be spoiler territory, and I won't blame you if you haven't seen it necessarily. If maybe you want to wait until the dub comes out, or if it gets on American television, which I'm assuming at some point down the line we'll be getting that probably soon. I don't see why they would be waiting too long to get that out there, but that's a whole other subject. Anyway, so Dragon Ball Super. So it's definitely a little different than what I was expecting, but I'm pretty hopeful for what's going to happen with it down the line. At the time that I'm putting this up, this is going up on August 1st, and then the 4th episode will be coming out the following day in Japan. But 3 episodes have come out so far over the course of the month. It was crazy because the first one came out on the same day that I was doing my my panel at Anime Expo for Tome, which was quite a lot to celebrate about, all in one day. I think on July 5th, I believe that was. But so I checked out the first 3 episodes, was watching them as they were coming out every week. And so to start off with, the first 2 episodes, which are new original little filler stories about Goku's family and Vegeta's family, respectively, more or less, were a lot of fun, and they were really, really cute. They were definitely reminding me of the more kind of heartfelt and memorable filler episodes of Dragon Ball Z, because it's funny. A lot of people they rip on DBZ for having, which, it does have a lot of crappy filler. I will certainly not deny that by any stretch of the imagination. But there are also a lot of fun filler episodes that I think people really do hold dear, beyond just the driving one, obviously, which is a big fan favorite. But something about these first 2, they were definitely very wholesome and very cute and entertaining. And they gave that same kind of sense of fun and I guess whimsy, if you want to put it that way, as I'm putting it that way, that these first 2 new movies have been exuding. Just again, as I was saying, fantastical, crazy characters doing just normal kind of day-to-day life things with Goten and Trunks going off to go get like a wedding present for Videl and Gohan, who now have just gotten their own place. Goku being a friggin' radish farmer. And then the following one with Vegeta, which great callback on having him flash back to, I promised I'd take you to the park, of taking everybody to an amusement park, with Trunks and Bulma, and suffering all the way through it. But like there were just some really cute, fun little moments and just lots of great stuff mixed in there. And what's great is that Toei seems to have caught on very quickly that people love the shit out of Beerus and Whis, because my God, all the stuff that they've gotten to do in these first 3 episodes so far are goddamn hilarious, and I am so happy that these characters are basically part of the main cast of this so far. They've been utilized really well. They've had a lot of really just great. They're great sources of entertainment for this entire thing, and they fit in so well with everything else in Toriyama's universe. Like I cannot get enough of them, and of course episode 3 was all centered on them, more or less, and Beerus, trying to remember all the stuff about Super Saiyan God. Now, of course, on that same note, I had heard a little bit about this, and of course there was the official press release that came out about this directly from Japan about how they announced that for Dragon Ball Super they would be adapting the plots of the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F movies into the plot of the series. Now, shortly before the show began airing as well, and before this announcement, this was kind of confusing everybody, there was a preview comic that came out illustrated by not Toriyama himself, but another artist who works for Shonen Jump, who's very good at imitating Toriyama's style. He had illustrated I guess sort of a manga, not quite, I guess, adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation. Just sort of an alternate, like a slightly alternate telling of what would happen in the first episode, and I'm not entirely sure like why the key differences were there and everything, but more or less it was a preview of what was to come, and this came out shortly before the first episode had aired. And there were some clues in this preview comic, and then more to come with when the episodes aired, about like, now we have to question where exactly is this whole thing taking place in the timeline of the Dragon Ball Z universe. And as we've kind of determined, it's taking place directly after Majin Buu has been defeated, and then the 6 months passed, and they erase everybody's memories of what Buu had done and everything, and all the stuff with Babidi throughout that whole part of the story. So the first couple episodes are directly after that, and they're being followed up by material that is corresponding with the events of what happened in Battle of Gods. Particularly, what they've done so far from the stuff that is aired at the time this is coming out is something in equivalence to the opening part of the Battle of Gods movie, where Beerus wakes up after the 39-year sleep, however long he was asleep for, I can't remember. And then he gets up and he's like, oh, what's going on? I gotta go, blah, 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 find the Super Saiyan God. I had a dream about him, and etc. So a lot of the same dialogue, a lot of the same basic things have happened. Oh, of course, Bulma's celebrating her birthday party. And except this time, it's taking place not at Capsule Corp, but on a cruise ship. And Beerus has already been awake for a little while, and he's been traveling around different planets and sampling foods and generally being a dick. And, blowing up planets left and right when he feels like it. And the Supreme Kais, the Kaioshin, and all that, all the godly figures are becoming very disturbed by this. So a lot of the very early stuff in the movie is being set up. And, of course Goku is training on King Kaio's planet. And, we're about to set up in the next episode where Beerus is going to confront him on that planet, and they're going to fight, and, then the rest of the events are set in motion. What I was expecting, and I'm actually kind of glad that they're not doing this, because I think this is a little bit more interesting and just gives you more reason to actually want to watch it. Because if they were going to go this route, then, they couldn't have done what I was expecting at first, because that probably would have turned a lot of people off from watching it at all. For those of you who don't watch Futurama, several years back, they, of course, did, a long time ago by this point now, I think, they did the 4 Futurama movies. And this was before they had the big revival, and it was back on Comedy Central and everything, and blah, blah, blah. Or rather put onto, not back on, you know what I mean? Anyway, but they did 4 movies, and what they did was they split them up into, I think 3 or 4 episodes each, something along those lines. And they made those 4 movies divided into episodes into a full season of the show. Now, originally what I believe was teased when they first mentioned that was they were going to add extra bits of animation, different things to kind of link some of the different events together, add some extra stuff or whatever, but they didn't end up doing that at all, and they just had like some kind of shallow to be continued, from what I was told anyway. I haven't actually seen the episode versions of the movies, I've just seen the movies themselves, but yeah, anyway. But yeah, so that was kind of what I was expecting them to do, but I'm pleasantly surprised that they're not, because it is literally an adaptation. They are taking the basic things of what had happened in Battle of Gods and putting kind of a new spin on them and doing new things with them. They're reanimating the full stuff and doing a new interpretation of what had happened, but they're keeping the key events so that it still falls in line with what had basically already been established. So it's kind of interesting. Like I guess what I was, before I heard about that, what I was expecting was it was going to take place after Battle of Gods and after, Resurrection F, which I'm sure we talked about in depth, me and Mike Labrie, and I think Scott was on that Kirblog where we just talked about what we're expecting for Dragon Ball Super in general. But I guess it's kind of interesting that they're going this route instead, so that I guess the full scope of the Dragon Ball Z story, the Dragon Ball story, I guess more so as a whole, is being extended beyond through TV show episodes, and not here's all 156 of Dragon Ball and then all 290 whatever of Dragon Ball Z, and then however many episodes that Super is going to run for. What this is actually making me very hopeful for is that they can take this opportunity to flesh out and add a lot more to things that weren't necessarily explained. Because, for instance, and I guess I'll try not to spoil too much in case any of you guys listening or watching out there have not seen anything relating to Resurrection F and still don't want to be spoiled. But basically, there's a new. This is everywhere. It's all over the promotional material. So if you're spoiled by this, then sorry. There's a new transformation. It's the blue-haired Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, as they call it. I guess that's the official name they're going with. But in the movie, there's that transformation, and it's surmised to something like this is a Super Saiyan that has the power of a Super Saiyan God. The Super Saiyan God transformation, the normal one, I guess, if you can call it that even, the red-haired one, is established in Battle of Gods, and how that works with the pure hearts of six Saiyans energy all combining together and everything. Blah blah blah. They they establish that, but they don't go into really like a full in-depth kind of treatment of how the new transformation works. And on the same note, Frieza's golden form, which he achieves through training for 4 months, which we don't see, and we don't get a full explanation as to that either. Now, not that those are the most important things in the world, in terms of like their bearings in the plot. What I'm talking about is, they could make entire episodes out of how it is that those characters get to those transformations in the first place, because that's what's interesting is like, how did you discover how to do this? Because you think about the path of how they got to what was eventually called Super Saiyan 2, and throughout the whole Cell and Androids arc, like that was a whole journey that was a big part of the story that became kind of interesting in terms of the trials and tribulations and figuring out how to do it. And the way that these new transformations to a lot of these characters are discovered, like that could be cool. This is also just one example. What I'm saying is, in general, they can have a lot more with some of the things that they may have not had time to do, and even with the director's cuts version of Battle of Gods. And I'm assuming at this point we're not going to get something like that for Resurrection F, considering Super is eventually going to be adapting that movie story as well. And what they've been teasing afterward is that apparently when they're done with this stuff, is they're going to be doing a new story about them going to another dimension, another universe, more or less, universe number 6, whereas all the canon, I guess, well, not canon, the main story that we know with Goku and everybody takes place in Universe 7. And Universe 6, which has its own god of destruction named Champa, they are all going to be involved with that, but we don't know anything further because that was all that Toriyama was allowed to tell us from what it seemed like. But so that's kind of the deal. I'm really interested to see where it's going to go with how they're adapting all these different things from the pre-existing movies, how much they're going to change, how much they're going to add, how much they might not change or not add, etc. I think that it would be kind of a waste to not have some stuff like that. They seem to be fleshing things more and more out from just what I can tell so far. And I should mention at the time, the next episode, I guess, is also going to be about Emperor Pilaf and his little crew of douchebags. And how they get on the ship, and they want to take all the prizes and everything, and blah blah blah. So I'm curious as to, that could be a funny episode, but then it's also going to set up the fight between Goku and Beerus on the Kaio planet and everything. So there's a lot to be had. There's a lot to be still excited about. I'm still pretty open. I've been very entertained so far about what we've gotten, and I'm just curious to see more and see where this goes. So that's going to wrap up what I have for now. So in the comments below, have you seen the episodes yet? Are you looking forward to more? Are you looking forward to the dub eventually? What do you want to happen? What do you want to see? What are you expecting? What are you excited and or disappointed about? Tell me below, and if you have ideas for future Kirblog topics related or unrelated to Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, let me know in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. And again, please be sure to go support. The dub is fantastic, and I guess it's probably safe for me to say that it features 3 cast members of Tome, the Train of Magical Expertise, my web series. It's got Micah Solusad, Afia Yu, and Todd Habercorn all in there. They did a fantastic job. The whole dub is awesome, so go check that out. Go see it in theaters if you're able to catch it locally, and get your tickets, blah, 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 etc. And yeah, that'll do it. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.